Makes a mistake again. He missed the shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin.
He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down, hop these curves, up and over. There's Zach Buchanan, whether it's at wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there nose to tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
The YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour heads into its 10th and 11th race this evening. Yes, it's a doubleheader, but not what you typically expect of a 2-race weekend. Tonight we race at Lanier National Speedway before taking a road trip to USA Speedway to complete the night. Both races on dirt tracks. The trucks are rough and tumble, bumping, door-slamming machines, so tonight's race is as much about survival as it is racing. Keep your truck in one piece, and you just might have some friends at the end of the night. For those who leave their paint on the walls and with competitors, expect to have a pretty short Christmas card list this winter, Finian. Dirt racing, 2 races tonight, 80 laps at Lanier and 55 at USA. Expectations for tonight after a pretty rough week at Iowa last week.
I think it's going to be really crazy, and also a perfect opportunity for people to take on any lingering frustrations after what occurred there. I mean, if they're at a dirt track, he's going to pit someone around really, for the most part, no harm, no foul, so we'll see if anyone decides to take some payback. But yeah, a lot of drama coming off after last week's race.
A lot of drama that ended up with the 48 driver, typically driven by Nathan Velez. That is now Michael Skinner this week in the number 48 Harley-Davidson Chevrolet Silverado. Velez has been suspended for 1 week and will not be allowed to race in 3WideRacing League competition this week after the incident he had with Josh Adams in the Cup race last event. So some of the things spilling over from one series to the next, and that 48 car are going to be subbing in, but we're sitting 4th in qualifying right now for Michael Skinner. Another fill-in is James Miller in the 42, filling in for Giadrasic, and of course the 38 of Robert Hill Jr. unfortunately having some technical issues with that truck and will not be here tonight to race in at least the Lanier race this evening. So kind of a rough start to the week for some of these drivers as well. Every time we come to dirt, Finney, we do it a lot in the YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour. You have to look at the guys that are special on dirt. And I'm looking at Tate Lytle as one of those guys. Paul Ross typically does okay here. But I'm looking for Kyle Hanshaw. He isn't here tonight. I thought he might have been one to make an appearance. But also Matt Gruenberg in that 54. We know he's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, he's almost always a competitor up there in the standings, so waiting for him to get a time down, we'll see where he ends up, or maybe not even at all. I've noticed of late that 54 has enjoyed starting in the back of the pack, so we'll see that pattern continues. I mean, he can definitely afford it. He's got a massive points lead.
And the qualifying for this event, it's not heat races, it's basically just top 24 in the qualifying go to be able to race the race. Well, unfortunately, or actually, I guess fortunately, everyone's going to get to race tonight because we were under. I was going to say, unfortunately, because we don't get to have a little bump day. But, no, I mean, everyone's going to get to race tonight, which is great for the drivers. It's not great for the drama in qualifying because everyone's safe. But that's only for qualifying. Once you drop the green flag in the race, I think it's pretty much every man for himself out there. One Sim Racing with some pretty cool looking paint schemes this week. Look at Derbyshire. No, you might not have the paints loaded in here, Finian, but Derbyshire in the 66, that Aurora Silverado, blue, green, some orange on there. That's a good looking truck, although hit the wall at the start-finish line. That's not going to count for a qualifying lap, and it looks like he might give up. How about Cameron Rich in the 17, making his appearance out here in the Eisen Designs Silverado, and he's going to be a tough one to beat tonight as well.
Ooh, but he hits the wall coming across the line. That's going to invalidate his lap here. We'll see if he can get it back up to speed. He's still got time to put a second one in. And yeah, that's the tricky thing too with dirt. It's very easy to hit the wall compared to asphalt. You're just kind of sliding everywhere. So if you just tap the wall once, though, it's going to invalidate your lap.
Yeah, taking a look from down above, we take a look at the track state right now. It's really heavily worn in the middle groove, but there's a lot of fresh dirt in the outside, and we talk about that fresh dirt, that cushion that's up there, Finney, and that's grippy dirt, but by the end of the race, I think we're going to see drivers tank slapping the rear of their machines right up against that wall, searching for grip.
Yeah, I'm sure guys are going to be happy that race is going to be at a completely fresh track, so Track's going to be completely reset, and guys are going to love being able to use multiple lines. But yeah, as he said, throughout the race, 80 laps, not a whole lot of laps, but for dirt, it's quite a bit, and we're going to see that line definitely change as the run goes on.
Johnny Thomas in the 09, always a threat on dirt. You see him rolling that outside lane as well, maybe just kind of feeling out how much grip is up there. The trucks have seen changes in recent weeks, Finian, and they've become a lot trickier to drive, and I think that's changed the handling on the dirt side of things as well. And I think the most talented drivers are going to come out on top tonight if they can survive the race. So 80 laps of race. You mentioned that's kind of long for dirt, but it's a pretty short race overall. So if you start towards the rear, how hard do you have to push, or do you push at all?
You definitely have to push a little bit to try to force your way up to the front. As far as how much, it kind of depends on the scenario. Really how fast you can get through people. So it kind of depends on how your truck's handling, your confidence on the dirt as well to try to get back up to the front.
Field jumping on the grid. Michael Skinner again filling in for Nathan Velez. You see the track has recently been plugged, and you see all those little nodules in the dirt. They've allowed the moisture to kind of get back in there. So the track is resurfaced and grippy and ready for 80 laps of racing here at Lanier. And if it goes green to the end, Fitting, is only 24 minutes worth of racing. And do you think it's going to go green all the way to the end? Because I don't think it will.
Oh, I absolutely don't think not. 80 laps at a dirt track without a single caution, I think it's a little far-fetched. But you never know what could happen. I also wanted to highlight Kyle Hanshaw. Was also a driver who got a suspension. He's got only one race suspension, so he'll be welcome back to 3Y competition, starting with the race tomorrow night, which is a doubleheader at Michigan.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate time for him to get a penalty because, as we know, he excels at the dirt stuff, Finian, and for him not to be here is a huge hit because he could have won this race night, and he will not be able to because he is not entered. Let's take a look at our starting lineup for tonight's race. On the front row, James Miller subbing in that number 42 for Kevin Jadrosich alongside Paul Ross in that number 18 Toyota Tundra. Ross has been good all season. We expect him to be good here tonight as well. Moving on back to row number 2, Levi Zielinski, and the other driver filling in for a friend, Michael Skinner, filling in for suspended Nathan Velez in that number 48, the Harley-Davidson on the side. Row number 3, Tate Lytle, Johnny Thomas, 5th and 6th. Lytle in a Tundra, Thomas in his number 09 Silverado. Both those drivers potential to win tonight. Moving on back to row number 4, Jordan McKeevoy, Richard Hines, 7th and 8th. How about McKeevoy? In recent weeks, that driver has been mighty, mighty quick. Maybe this is a night where he can sneak a victory out here. Matt Hackathorn, Dave Hunt, 9th and 10th. Matt Hackathorn, Finian, how about this guy? No luck to speak of for that 44. It had some really good runs in 2018. 2019 has really not been his season, though.
Yeah, it really hasn't been at all. He's down, stuck 19th in points after starting every single race, so it's been a really big struggle for him this season. He's only got one entire top 10 to his name, one top 5 and one top 10 to his name. I'm sure he's going to be hoping for more here, especially on the dirt.
Field is pulling off, pacing behind the Chevy Silverado Pace truck, and taking a look at the track conditions. 87 in the air, 101 on the clay surface of this one. That's pretty hot for a dirt track.
Yeah, it is pretty hot. We'll see how drivers can deal with that, because usually a lot of dirt races run in the nighttime, a lot more, cinematic, and also traditionally most dirt races are run at night, but here we are in the daylight, in the sun, and like you said, pretty hot on the track, 101.
So Pace Truck's going to roll out at turn 4. It's, again, 80 laps worth of racing. Paul Ross on the outside of that front row. That's where I want to be, at least once we get into this race a couple laps. The bottom might have some grip for a while, but this is a tiny track. It's only 0.3 miles. That means a lot of pushing, shoving, bumping, and banging. 80 laps on the menu for tonight, and green flag flies racing at Lanier.
Miller off to a great start. I see Paul Ross almost turned himself into the
Oh,
wall.
he did turn around. And
there
instantly
he goes
caution,
around.
and it's Cameron Rich, Johnny Thomas. That's that 48 truck with Mike Skinner that's involved, and a lot of the drivers, Cody McCorkle there as well, a lot of the drivers that we thought might be competitive tonight already having issues down into turn 1. It's slippery out there. And the 18 just gets on the throttle here and instantly spins around, and that was the 48 tucked in behind. And it was already sideways. There was contact there that helped spin around, but then Cameron Rich came flying in there, couldn't do anything, drilled the front of the 18 with his door. Klosterhuis in the 3 managed to expertly sneak his way through there, but a mess on the start of this race, Finian.
Yeah, Messer, and I think this is drivers underestimating, because, you know, guys are always practicing, you know, their lines and everything, but not a whole lot of people practice getting up to speed, especially at the dirt. You know, for the most part, you think you can just floor it down for the most part and get up, but we saw a little bit of a wheel spin for Paul Ross, and he went around immediately in turn 1.
Couple drivers that did not start tonight's race, Todd Smith in the number 39. The 64 of Chad Brown and the 38 of Robert Hill Jr. Of course, Robert Hill Jr. having some technical issues. I don't know exactly what happened to the other few drivers, but didn't at least start this race this evening. So caution out, first turn on lap number 1. We're going to see more of this, you think, here, Finian, or do you think we'll get this cleaned up?
I think we'll get it cleaned up. I think once these guys get used to it again. I think a lot of these guys are not used to getting up to really having a dirt race in the middle of the day, especially with these trucks. So it's kind of a different beast that they gotta get used to, and I think they should be able to get it under control here.
Quick yellows here. Pace truck already rolling. We've already completed 5 laps. We've only been really out here for a couple minutes, and now it's going to be the 6th of Levi Zielinski looking for some better luck and restarting on the outside lane. Lytle in behind. Green flag back in the air. Let's try this again.
Yeah, we'll try this again, and we're going to get through turn 1 as Miller is going to easily maintain his lead. Zielinski fighting with Tate Lytle, but Lytle going to get the second spot.
See Jordan McKeeboy in the 21 already searching in that outside groove, trying to find some pace out there early in the going. Zielinski slots into third, contact behind. I hear some drivers pushing and shoving. Frankenfield in the fence out of turn 2. That's the 66 of Derbyshire scrambling to get around him, but Frankenfield goes very far back very quickly, and he's going to get, oh, that was almost contact from Klooster, who's there, but a cluster towards the rear. Got a car around. It's Richard Hines up the road. So Hines spun around, some damage to the right front of that truck. As our second caution of the night already out. What happened to the 2? Who got in the wall on his own, all on his own out of turn 2, Finian, and just got that nose stuck along the fence. And there's actually more grip on the concrete wall than there is on the racetrack. So the car kind of stuck nose first into the fence.
Yeah, and I think I'm actually kind of surprised a lot of guys are going for the top side. I think it's way too early for these guys to be up there. I think we'll definitely later in the run, but I was looking at the leaders before that caution came out. Everyone glued to that inside wall. I think we're going to see that for quite a while.
Well, I mean, you take a look, and there's a lot of dirt outside and inside. Here's a look at turn number 4 right now. All that fresh dirt, the darker colored dirt, that is grip out there. The problem is that there's the same thing down by the inside wall. Let's take a look. You can see right at the exit of turn 4 there on the inside, there's a lot of dirt down there as well. And when there's grip on the top and the bottom, you want to go the short way around, I think.
Yeah, no, pretty much you want to go the short way around until that lane gets entirely used up. And you see everyone slowly make the march up into the top side. You really only want to use the top side as kind of the last resort. You're going to see guys start at the bottom, go to the middle, then gravitate toward the top.
Cameron Rich might go a lap down here as the pace truck pulls off, and the field's going to take the green flag again. It's going to trap that 17 truck 1 lap down as they enter turn 1 again. Tate Lytle on the outside this time. Zielinski on the bottom. Everyone fanning out 2 and 3 wide. Some trucks in the fence, and that 15 really struggling on the dirt so far this week. Caution out again.
Up and caution out.
Brandon Klooster, who's this time. Whoa! The 48 gets turned over on his lid down in, I believe that's turn number 1. Or is that turn 3? But the 48 is Skinner up on his lid, a slow rollover down on that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's probably one of the slowest rollovers I've ever seen.
Just slowly gets knocked over and just tips. A little top heavy, but where did this incident actually start? I see Capel and Corey Lindsay got together, and then I think the 48 gets hit from behind by Derbyshire, and that's what turns him over, the 48. But it's been a struggle so far tonight for these drivers, Finian. Whoop, the 18 was the one that actually wasn't the 66. My bad. It was the 18 of Paul Ross, turning the 48 over for Michael Skinner, subbing in for Velez. Not a good start to the night. It's a short race. The track is hot. It seems very slippery out there, Finian. So how do you keep your truck under control and make it to the end of the race and have a decent points result?
It's going to really take a lot of throttle and a little bit of brake control here when you're trying to get that nose pointed in the right direction to get it to rotate. And also a lot of the gas control to make sure you don't send these trucks flying around. It's very easy to do so, and you got to really modulate.
14 laps complete of 80 so far. And it's going to be the 6th truck of Zielinski on the outside lane, and a good restart for the 6th, but James Miller is going to beat that yellow Sour Patch Kid Silverado to the line. Down to the inside goes the 42. And Lytle's going to try to follow him on through 3 wide again. 4 wide in the middle of the pack for a moment. They're going to get strung back out. But Lytle drops to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3.
Yeah, and actually Hackathorn almost turned around Zelensky. He got into that 6's back bumper. Hackathorn trying to go places here, trying to get the move up to the front.
Paul Ross on the way inside down into turn 1 underneath Cody McCorkle. There was some contact there. 3 wide again on the back straight. That's the 66 on the inside. That's Derbyshire trying to make up spots, and he has made up a bunch of spots in that 66. After starting in 2030s up to 8th. Everyone trying to find some grip on the racetrack. Not a lot to be had as Matt Grunberg drops to the bottom, sliding that truck to the inside of Close in the 5.
Yeah, he's trying to get the move done on that 5 car. I think he'll definitely get it this time through here, unless Close can power it up on the outside. No, he can't.
Dirt flying everywhere as everyone tries to scramble for grip. Zelensky back to 4th. It's Miller, Lytle, Thomas, Zelensky. Your top 4. Then it's Hackathorn inside the top 10. Again, he needs a good run in this 44. It has not been a fairy tale season for that driver in that Toyota Tundra. And it's a scramble in turns 3 and 4. Look at Derbyshire in the middle of it. There is Cameron Rich, who actually was able to stay on the lead lap, or actually get his lap back, rather, and he's climbing positions again for that 17.
Yeah, I think this 44 definitely eyeing to improve his standings in the points here, because remember, both races are counted as full individual races, so full points to each. So if he can do well here as he's under attack by Sam Close, he can really get himself up there.
So, oh, the 44 scrapes in the wall out of the exit of turn 2. Now, we're looking at the track state, Finian. That inside line getting cleaned off, all the dirt being thrown to the outside. That grip level is going to drop very dramatically on the inside lane. You're going to start seeing drivers experiment higher and higher up the racetrack. Sam Close is up there right now trying.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of loose dirt in the middle line, so I think we're going to see guys trying to take advantage of that to get these trucks more grip.
Out front, though, it's James Miller pulling away, and I haven't really noticed him on dirt the last couple seasons. I didn't really think of him as a driver to watch, but he's expertly pulling away from Tate Lytle. Last time through, he was a 10th quicker. I think Lytle made up some ground there in the middle of 1 and 2. Meanwhile, behind Matt Grunberg in that 54, we documented his spectacular season, leading the points, started 17th, running 4th right now. That's an impressive run for Matt Grunberg.
Yeah, Grunberg has a 97-point lead over Cameron Rich, so he's doing a fantastic job. Doesn't really need to force the issue here as you see him on the outside now trying to get around Johnny Thomas.
I don't think he's going to bother to force the issue. Meanwhile, Close gets around Hackathorn on the outside groove. And Johnny Thomas in that 09, you just talked about him, Finian. He is really good at the dirt stuff. He sits 3rd right now. That's a prime position if another caution comes out. We've had a pretty decent green flag run this time through.
Whoa, Grunberg is putting it all out there trying to get around Johnny Thomas. He's using that outside lane. There you see the extra grip he has. See Thomas struggling on the inside. Here comes Zelensky too, trying to force the issue.
Yeah, I think that grip level is slowly starting to head up the racetrack. You see all the mess of dirt and gravel that's kind of propagated to the outside lane, the inside cleaning off, and that becomes very slicked down and very slippery to drive on. Almost becomes like pavement, almost glassy in surface texture compared to the rough dirt of everywhere else. Meanwhile, up front, Miller with an 0.8 of a second lead. Let's drop back to Zelensky, who's trying to chase down Thomas for 4th.
Yeah, you see Thomas now has finally gravitated to the middle lane to try to reel back in that 54. Little Grunberg, I'm sure he's got his sights set on the leaders who have both broken away from the rest of the field pretty much. Watching
Zelensky's arms right now inside that truck, and he's got that full opposite lock through the middle of the corners, Finian. This is not like Eldora where you just have to slide a little bit. You're sliding these things all the way to the edge of their steering limit, and that's why we've seen so many trucks go off the racetrack early in the going.
Yeah, Michael Skinner, he's actually just entered pit road. I think he's about to call it a night. It looks like that truck's struggling with some handling.
Yeah, it was turned over on its lid. I'm surprised he even got that back out there on the racetrack. Meanwhile, let's check back in with McCorkle in that 12 truck. Started 18th, he's up to 10th, but he's got Paul Ross, Cameron Rich, 2 drivers that are looking to advance their position, and they have the skill and the ability to do that, and they're chasing down that 12 right now.
Yeah, and Ross trying to make up for what happened to him after starting up in 2nd, down in 11, trying to move up some places, or 30 laps into an 80-lap race, 50 to go.
Look at Cameron Rich. He's all the way out there in that loose dirt, leaving tire tracks of his own through that. I have not seen anybody try up that high in a groove that's not established, but look at it. He just continues to hang that thing out, and those tire tracks are from him the previous lap, so he's extending that groove to the outside lane, and he'll make that outside a lot more raceable here for the last half of the race. And we're quickly approaching halfway, and James Miller might snag some halfway points.
Yeah, those points are on the line. I'm sure he wants to collect. It doesn't look like Lytle's really got anything for Miller. Definitely he's been able to keep up to his pace, but as far as catching up to that 42, I don't really think he can do much. And actually, he's got to start looking behind him as Matt Grunberg's starting to reel in the leaders.
Yeah, these front two are pretty evenly matched, but the last couple times at least, Grunberg was 2/10 quicker, and this is no surprise. You mentioned his 97-point lead over the field. He's just been spectacular, and it doesn't seem to matter what kind of racetrack we're at, whether it be a super speedway, a short track, or a dirt track, even road courses he's been moderately successful at, and running third right now, going for second on the inside of Lytle.
Yeah, actually, Lytle was just running the inside line still, and I was actually kind of surprised he was doing so, but now he's migrated up to the top, and now Grunberg trying to pass on the bottom. I don't think he can do anything down there.
Quickly approaching the halfway point of this race, and again, watching Grunberg full opposite lock on that truck, and then slowly feeding in the throttle to try to get that thing rotated around without spinning it. It's just a delicate balance. This is, I mean, Eldora, you feel like you can attack the racetrack there, but here it seems like it's a very delicate balance on the throttle and brake.
Yeah, the leader's starting to catch some lap traffic up the hill. They got Rusty Capel, Austin Derbyshire, and the rest of the pack also, so they're not too far out as we're entering a pretty long green flag run here.
And closing on halfway, less than 5 laps to the end of that. Miller's got a 1.1 second lead over Grunberg as he slides in front of the 56 slide job for the 54, and Grunberg moves up to P2.
Easy pass for Grunberg, now going to set his sights on the leader. Will he be able to get James Miller, or will Miller put up a fight here? Ooh, Lytle hard on the wall.
Yeah, big clouds of dust getting thrown up. So what does that do for visibility following another driver, Finney? And it's hard to see where you're going already, but how about when there's a big cloud of dust in front of you?
Yeah, it's definitely distracting, and kind of one of those reasons you see some guys maybe duck a little bit under, a little bit over the driver and ahead of them, so not constantly just having dirt sprayed at them.
You see that little deflector right off the nose of Tate Lytle on the left-hand side of your screen. That's a little plexiglass Lexan deflector, and what that does is direct the dirt up and away from the windshield so that you don't have to have windshield tear-offs. Because those, I don't think we're going to see pit stops in this race, so there's not really much of a point in having tear-offs if you can't tear them off. So that's why they have that deflector, and it does a pretty decent job of keeping the dirt off the windshield, at least on the driver's side.
Yeah, Grunberg now working his way around the 3 of Brandon Klooster, who's ooh, he hits hard into the wall right in front of Lytle. He goes around!
Right in front of third place Tate Lytle, the 3 of Klooster, who spins around, and caution out for the 3rd time tonight. Make that the 4th, my mistake there. So the 3 gets turned around. Let's take a look at that. He already kind of tank slapped the wall. He hit it pretty hard and then spun out, and the 56 had nowhere to go. You can't change direction very quickly at all.
Yeah, you can't turn left, you can't slow down. You kind of just gotta accept what's gonna happen and just hope that the outcome is good for you. And yeah, so Lytle can really do much. He had to hit the 3, and around he went.
Yeah, it seems like Lytle just stayed in the throttle, just trying to finish that 3 off. But he did damage the front of that 56 quite a bit, so we'll see if that affects him. Thankfully, I don't think aero's going to matter a whole lot here tonight, Finian, so he's probably okay.
Yeah, and even power too. If anything, I'm sure these guys are like less powerless, so wheel spin for the trucks that they got to deal with.
So I'm looking again from the top side of the racetrack up in the blimp cam, and you see about 2/3 of the racetrack very worn in, but that upper third is all fresh dirt. I mean, that's grip up there, Finian. We've seen the bottom prevail so far. How much longer do you think it's going to be before that outside's the place to run?
I would say coming up on it pretty soon. I'll be surprised if no one jumps up there now on the restart, maybe trying to take advantage of all the fresh dirt that's there. Because that inside line, you can see pretty much completely used up. You maybe use the middle line. I think that's where guys have been eyeing. But I think that outside line is pretty usable now.
Well, looking at the middle groove, it's almost jet black, and that's not the good kind of the good kind of dark color that you want out of the dirt. It's smoothed over clay, and it's actually taking rubber now from the tire. So a moment ago, that was the place to be. Now it's covered in rubber and getting slick and hot as we were seeing track temperatures 110 degrees at a dirt track, Finney. That's pretty hot. But the rubber getting laid down here and the groove moving up as the race goes on. Pace truck off. Miller has led every single lap so far. We'll see if he can continue. Green flag back in the air.
Brings it back in the air. Grunberg trying to get up to speed quickly, and there you see him already taking advantage of that outside lane. Miller also jumps up there on the exit. Lytle on the inside.
Trucks all over the racetrack, and we got the 56. A big dive bomb to the inside, trying to do the slider on the 42. Couldn't get it done, and Miller back around the outside. Here comes Johnny Thomas, and look at Grunberg, expertly using that outside lane to carry the momentum.
Yeah, but he got actually stuck up behind. He's actually technically behind Johnny Thomas. Thomas on the inside of Lytle, and here you see Lytle do the slide job on the 54. So now Thomas trying to get back on the inside. Grunberg trying to find some way out of this mess as he's in the middle of a giant pack.
Already Lytle gets around Grunberg, and he was using that outer groove. Look at everyone sliding up the racetrack now. It's almost like we flipped a switch at halfway. Miller got those halfway points as the leader, but we're drifting up the racetrack and finding more grip where that loose stuff is.
Yeah, I see Lytle charging into the corner and then using the dirt on the exit to power up and get through. Thomas also starting to come into his own here, trying to get in front of Grunberg.
Oh, big gaggle in the middle of the pack there. That's the 5 ascent close all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack, still working the inside groove, trying to find grip there. Drifting up now, he's in no man's land in the middle, and Matt Hackathorn's going to drift around the outside lane in that bright blue 44, carrying more speed and momentum. Lytle's got second place away. It's a battle for third behind, and Grunberg, Thomas, and then look at this cluster behind him.
Yeah, it's all, everyone's just completely going at it. Zielinski gonna door Cameron Rich, as Rich is still on the inside.
Yeah, that's a driver we got to be watching as this race gets into its waning stages here. That 17 truck was a lap down at one point, all the way at the back of the field after being involved in a lap 1 crash. He is coming and coming very quickly. 3 wide, that's for 6th right now. Johnny Thomas in a battle with Sam Close for 5th place. Tate Lytle up the road in 2nd, but he's looking for the lead. Could Lytle take a victory away from this 42 who's led every lap so far?
And the interesting thing, too, he's actually running lower than Miller, and Miller is also in the middle of the track, so guys starting to ditch that outside line. I think they figured now is not exactly the time just yet, although it is starting to come more and more into its own.
Lots of dirt getting kicked up, and lows visibility out there for everyone, but Tate Lytle sees that 42 out the windshield. He wants to get there, but it's hard to see them. Finian, you're driving in a slide. They're out your right side window when you get down to the corner.
Yeah, you got to be very careful, and you have to have really good spatial awareness around and trying to predict where the trucks are, because you can't see them for pretty much most of the corner.
Almost to the last 25 laps, they're going to go very quickly. There's a big battle for 3rd and 4th behind these guys, but for 1st place right now, it's Lytle all over Miller. Last time through, Miller was quicker, but the quickest was actually Matt Grunberg from 3rd. Looks like Cameron Rich is kind of stalled around 7th place. Might need a caution to get himself back up. Caution,
Oh,
there it is.
Speaking of which.
It's a big one down in turns 3 and 4. It's Corey Lindsay. I see. Oh, was it Cameron Rich? It was Cameron Rich. He wanted a caution. He was the caution.
Actually, there's a completely separate incident that happened simultaneously behind them.
Well, here's a look.
With Corey Lindsay and Richard Hines.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the 17 first. So I said he needed a yellow, but he just slips out of turn 2. He's in the middle of nowhere. That rubbered-in groove that doesn't have any grip. And then, of course, that incident behind with Corey Lindsay. I see Derbyshire was involved as well. Here's a look. Oh, Hines, yeah, Hines, Lindsay, and then Derbyshire coming on through, gets clobbered and heads up into the wall after that. Kind of a strange turn of events there for a moment.
Yeah, I think what happened with Rich is that, I noticed this with Lytle too, he was kind of getting to that danger zone a bit, is that these guys are going so slow, especially on the inside line, considering how rubbered up it is, that the truck just starts to slow down a lot, and then the front end just pitches and the back end comes around, and I think that's what we saw with Cameron Rich there.
So our 5th caution of the night, already 1 to green here. As the field's going to double file up, we're going to get the caution extended 1 lap. But James Miller's been in control of this race. We're going to be 20 to go, Finian. Does anybody have anything for him?
So far, honestly, not really many people showed that they had anything for him. They can keep up the speed, and we've seen that with the 56 and the 54. They've done a great job of keeping at bay with that 42, but no one I really seen has been able to, has shown the speed to get around this 42 James Miller. But we'll see, you know. Dirt racing isn't always really clean, and I don't mean that just because there's a lot of dirt. I mean, I'm talking about the actual racing itself. So we'll see if anyone gets a little bit physical with this 42. It's been pretty clean so far, all things considered.
Pace truck on the back straightaway. We'll pull off here shortly. You know what? It's so dusty on this racetrack, I'm about to sneeze, but I haven't been able to do it, so I'm just kind of hanging on the edge of one of those sneezes that, like, it's hurting. They gotta kick up some more dust. Here they go. Green flag back in the air, 20 to go.
And Miller's going to clear Lytle into turn one. We'll see if Lytle can take any advantage of that outside lane. Didn't pay off for Grunberg last time, but behind him, Frankenfield getting turned around almost.
Yep, and there's the caution. And he just kind of just hung sideways. I really have to sneeze, and I can't do it. Let's take a look at the replay. It's dusty out here, Finny. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, the outside lane just stacked up. Wow, there's so much dust. You can't even see what was going on. The outside lane stacked up, and the 15 ran in the back of Hackathorn, and it was at the 21 and the Keyboy that couldn't get slowed down. They got hooked together, and then just bulldozed the 15 out of the way. You see Cameron Rich slipping by, but another caution. Our 6th of the night, and they're going to regrid him, and that'll be about 15 laps to go by the time we get the green.
Yeah, race starting to come to a very short close very quickly. I mean, we've only been out here for, I think, about 22 minutes or so on since we got the green flag, and we're already at its end. And it's actually kind of amazing, too. These guys pace around 25 seconds a lap, and the race speed is only 17 seconds. It's kind of crazy how quickly these guys pace around here.
Taking a look at track conditions again, 111. It keeps climbing, and that middle groove keeps getting more and more rubbered up. And that's going to only get slippery. We saw it did claim the 17 of Cameron Rich. He slipped, and that's not something you see Cameron Rich do a lot. So that middle groove, icy, slippery right now. The outside lane, the place to be, but Miller is going to take the inside for the restart.
Here we go. We're going to do it again. Green flag back in the air. Grunberg now trying to take the lane away from Lytle. You see Grunberg go all the way up there, and Miller's going to slide him in the corner. Grunberg's going to have the run off the turn.
Yeah, big run for the 54. He's trying to gather energy on that outside lane with the wider radius, and he's gathered that energy and now trying to apply it towards catching the leader of this race, the incumbent James Miller at the top of the board. He's been there for the first 66 laps. He's only got to go 15 more to claim a victory. Meanwhile, behind him, Hackathorn sliding back a couple spots, but for the top spot, Grunberg down to the inside.
Whoa!
He slips. He's going to be around on the inside lane, corrects it into the pit wall. He just scrapes by, but all his positions are gone.
And that's effectively going to end his chances, at least for the
crash
moment
behind.
here.
Chad Frankenfield around, down in turn one, caution out. And Cameron Rich out of the race, Finian. Here's a look at the wreck. The 15. And I don't exactly see what happened to the 17, so we'll have to go back and take a look at that as well. Looks like, oh, he just spun out and got the pit. Ooh, yeah. Got the pit wall there on entry, and that was going to be it for the 17 of Rich. So not a great points result.
I'm actually looking back at an incident with Frankenfield and involved Dave Hunt as well. This kind of started off of turn 2 the previous lap. Hunt got into Frankenfield. They both went flying up into the wall, and Frankenfield got turned to the outside wall, and I think Frankenfield trying to get revenge on Hunt, and unfortunately went the wrong way for him.
There it is. There's that impact with the 53. And this is all, yeah, this is what really started it. The 15 turns back down, and I don't know if that was completely intentional, but they certainly got tangled up. I mean, you'd have to try pretty hard to right rear somebody into the fence that successfully at a dirt track.
Yeah, I don't know if he tried. It kind of looked like it, but it's kind of hard to tell when these guys are sideways to begin with.
Jury's out on that one. 10 to go at the restart. I think this 42 truck goes to victory lane. Johnny Thomas sits in third, though. Does he have anything to say about it? Grunberg's out of the picture all the way back in 10th place. Lytle, Thomas close, second, third, fourth. Zielinski sitting in 5th, trying to turn his luck around as the green waves again.
Yep, and here you see Johnny Thomas now trying to throw it to the inside of Lytle. Was trying to get to the outside of Miller as well, but they race off down the back straightaway. Can Lytle get clear of Thomas and set his sights on Miller?
Zielinski had a terrible exit of turn 2. He's getting swallowed alive up the middle now. 3 wide out of turn 2. That's Paul Ross trying to recover from his rough start on the inside lane, trying to get himself back inside the top 5, but it's all James Miller out front right now. 3 wide again, back for 4th place.
Yeah, Lytle finally getting clear of Thomas. Now he can set his sights on the 42 a little. I think it's unlikely, but yeah, like you said, behind, big pack of cars all trying to sort themselves out.
Hackathorn and Paul Ross almost got together. Grunberg trying to recover from his mistake a few laps ago. on the inside. He's down in 8th place now, looking for 7th on Hackathorn, but he slips up. He doesn't have any energy on the bottom lane, can't carry the momentum. Look at how glossy and glassy the track is, those middle grooves. The outside is going to be the place to find speed, and the 44 is there. Hackathorn gets 6th from the 18.
Yeah, he's got one more spot, and then he can finally get into the top 5. He's looking at Zielinski, although he's still got Paul Ross and Gruenberg also to his inside.
Austin Derbyshire. This is the exit at turn 2. And this is going to set us up for potentially a green-white checkered finish here. Or close to it, rather.
Actually, that brings up a great question. Are there green-white checkers on dirt?
You know, I was about to ask you the same thing, Finian. So Derbyshire
We'll find out.
slipped around in the corner, and it's going to set us up for a late race restart. With James Miller. James Miller has dominated this race. I think he's a solid bet to win the USA race as well.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think anyone can take him out of the, look at that 42 truck and put him as a contender for the next race. Even Lytle, too. Lytle's driven a fantastic race, although it's been overshadowed by Miller's dominance, but Lytle's also another one. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be eyeing to get somewhere around Miller, because I think he realizes he's going to be racing that 42 for the next race.
Well, we've had 8 cautions, no lead changes in this race. It's been all James Miller out front. Look at the track temp, 112 degrees, and look how black that middle groove is, Finian. It's just completely worn down. Here's the outside of turn 4. Lots of dirt left to use here, but everywhere else on the racetrack getting blacker and blacker with pavement, or like pavement, with the rubber working its way in. Meanwhile, the field rolling through back straightaway, coming back to the green. It's going to be 3 laps to go. Here they go.
Yeah, green flag back in the air for Miller and Lytle as they race up into turn 1. Close also trying to go to the outside of that 56. Can't get it done. Zielinski trying to find some way around. Thomas also trying to get clear of Lytle. Cars
in the fence, scraping, grinding off each other, but now out of turn 4, it's going to be 2 to go. Miller getting closer and closer to picking up a victory here in the YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour. We go to another dirt track just after this. He's trying to lock up a checkered flag here in the first one of the night. Lytle, all sorts of sideways contact with the 18. He's down on the inside lane, into the fence. Coming back to the white flag. Here they come for James Miller.
Yeah, Lytle gets put all the way back to 4th and 5th as they're fighting. Caution out. And we're going to get a green-white checkered.
Caution out. Wow. So it will be a green-white checkered. And I think we only get 1 attempt at this, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
So for James Miller, he thought he had that locked up, was almost to the start-finish line. It was very, very close. Actually, I'd like to go back and look. It looked like he was already there.
He was past the line.
That one just kind of got robbed from me. But let's take a look. Here's the flag stand. Yeah, he was well past the start-finish line. That really stinks for the 42, but I guess, you know.
Well, I mean, if he does everything he did for the previous 80-some-odd laps, I think he should be able to walk away with this unscathed.
Should be, is the word. I don't know if it's guaranteed at all. But all I know is that that 42 has been hard to beat this evening, and it's going to take a green-white checkered finish. This will be our 1 attempt at it, and Johnny Thomas in the outside lane. That's a dangerous truck to put on the front row next to James Miller, who's led this whole race.
Yeah, Thomas starting to show some life. Took advantage of Lytle, making a mistake. Lytle back in 5th. Paytrock's going to go out. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, and the green flag flies again, and Miller tries to launch off, but that 09 gets a spectacular restart. It's not going to be good enough, though, I don't think, as Miller's going to be able to clear him at the exit of turn 2. But the 09 might be close enough for a Hail Mary out of his enter turn 3.
Yeah, Miller slipped off the corner, couldn't get the traction down. Thomas gave him a bump. He's still going at it. White flag in the air.
Last time around, white flag waves at Lanier. Crash behind, it's the 5 of Sam close up into the fence. But all out front, it's been James Miller's show from start to finish. He's going to come on through. No threat from behind as the rest of the field almost gets wadded up in the final corner. Checkered flag waves, and it's going to be James Miller at the line. Hackathorn sideways across.
Oh, darn. Yeah, Hackathorn, he was coming across the line. It would have finished in 4th. Unfortunately, that spin is going to put him back in 7th.
Dramatic finish and trucks on their lid. And let's go back and watch Hackathorn's last turn here. Here's a look from up above. They're entering down in turn 3. Goes for the dive on Zielinski, and that's Tate Lytle that got close. And the 44 just gassed it up a little too quick, and They lost a bunch of positions right at the end there. Wow. All right, well, dramatic end to this one. Here's a look at your race results. Of course, the winner, James Miller, a spectacular run by that 42 driver. We'll talk to him shortly. Johnny Thomas second, Zielinski third, Tate Lytle fourth, Matt Grunberg hits a top 5 after that late race drama he had spinning out on the inside lane. $80 laps at Lanier didn't disappoint. We have 55 at USA coming up shortly. We're going to talk to your winner in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to SimTV, here now with race winner James Miller. James, a spectacular race, ran up front all night long. Were you nervous those last couple laps on that GWC?
Oh, I was very nervous. I thought for sure I was gonna get a bit of a bump there, coming low, and I was getting really sloppy there at the end. I thought for sure I was gonna either spin out or get bumped, but somehow pulled it off.
A doubleheader night tonight. We head to USA Speedway next in just a few minutes. Differences between that track and this one, and do you feel like you're going to be as strong there as you were here?
Yeah, it's completely different with long straightaways, short, tight turns. I'm not sure. I wasn't expecting this at all for today. I was just filling in for Kevin here in the 42 and happened to have a really good day, but I don't know. I came into this race just wanted to keep it clean, and it's just how I'm gonna be for the next race here.
All right. Well, James Miller, victorious at Lanier. Good luck at USA. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right. So I think do we have a moment to talk to some other guys, Finian? I think we might, unless that other server's already up. So maybe we'll wait and talk to Johnny and Levi a little bit later tonight. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump to break, and we'll come back in just a little while with USA Speedway for race number 2 of the night. We'll talk to Johnny and Levi later. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a little bit. Stay put.
To most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m. The feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist. Born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars. Found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that has not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered Landslide? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
bottom, 6 to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin.
He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon runner a tad wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there nose to tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
Welcome back live to SimTV in the 2019. I was so gonna sneeze. I can't do it, Finian. I can't do it. I've been trying to sneeze for half an hour and I can't. Well, we're back at USA Speedway and I'm hoping they're gonna kick up some more dust to get this sneeze triggered here. But Johnny Thomas finished second or third in race number 1 of the night and sits quickest right now in warm-up. And I can't. Can you take over commentary for 2 minutes?
Al tries to have a sneeze. Whoa, actually just saw Sam Close hit an invisible wall. But yeah, so we're at USA, which is a fairly different track compared to Lanier. Lanier fairly short as far as as far as the straightaways are concerned. But here at USA, much longer straightaway, so it's going to leave these guys to be driving this track a lot more different. They have to go straight on a dirt track, which is something you really don't see too often.
Yeah, so also cloudy conditions, very different than what we saw at Lanier, Finian. Track temp only 82 degrees, and you know what that means? That means it's going to be a lot grippier. We also might not see as much asphalt, or I keep saying asphalt, as much rubber buildup on the racetrack as we saw at Lanier. But multiple grooves, I don't think we're going to see that play around quite as much. You can't really throw it down to the bottom. This track from up above looks a lot like Martinsville or Dover. It's a lot longer straightaways than Lanier, which is more circular. And that means that you're not really going to be able to use the inside quite as well as you could at a place like Lanier.
Yeah, you're going to be wanting to use that outside lane a lot more to use the momentum you have entering the corner and put it through pretty much throughout the corner to get these things to rotate at a high rate of speed. So I think we're going to see that outside lane coming a lot more. We're not going to see guys glued up to the inside at USA. Maybe on the starts and at the initial start, but I think not so much throughout the race.
Taking a look at the multiple camera angles around here, Finian. The dirt, a much darker color. A lot more dirt in this and not so much clay. So it's also going to wear in a little bit differently. We're going to see how that plays out here in just a little bit. Johnny Thomas has been dethroned at the top of the board by Matt Gruenberg in that 54 truck, and maybe one of the quickest in the first race, but never got to the lead. Maybe he'll be quick enough in race 2. And how about that 42 truck of James Miller filling in for Giadricic, gets a victory. Now he's going to try to do it again.
Yeah, and Gruenberg, Miller, Thomas, all in the top 3 spots, like we saw them in the race for the most part, until Gruenberg ended up falling off. I'm sure he's going to want to redeem himself here, and he's going to have a shot, especially in qualifying. I think qualifying is going to be a lot more important for these guys this time around, trying, at least for Gruenberg and Lytle, to try to take that top spot away from that 42.
So during the little race break there was a bit of drama. It didn't quite get as far as we hoped it would, but Chad Frainfield voicing his displeasure with driver the 53, Dave Hunt, after their collision in race number 1. We'll see if that carries over to race 2. I guarantee you that they're not going to give each other as much room as they're going to give each other or their other competitors, but we'll see how it plays out. Right now, they're 14th and 15th on the board. It just always happens to work out that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does end up like that quite a lot of times. So we'll see if they end up running into each other on the track here. You know, it is pretty much a different race, but I mean, the last race we had just finished 10-15 minutes ago, so definitely going to be fresh in their minds. We'll see if it spills over.
Much different racetrack, too. You're on the throttle a lot more. As you get to the corner, it's a lot more brake and a lot more pointing the truck. Instead of just kind of getting it sideways and sliding it, you have to point the truck and then kind of turn in and rotate the truck around a very tight axis there on the inside lane. Riding on board with the 3 of Brandon Klooster, who didn't have a spectacular race 1, trying to improve for race 2. But the sun going down, the lights are on. It's going to be night racing here at USA Speedway. And of course, tomorrow night, the Race Kings Cup Series heads to Michigan for their own doubleheader tomorrow evening. 70 laps apiece, times 2 tomorrow night at 9:40 p.m. Minute 20 seconds left in practice here. We're going to talk to the driver, the 09, Johnny Thomas, before we go racing in race number 2. I just want to hear his thoughts and how he's going to be better than he was in race number 1 and be able to dethrone James Miller, because he goes right to the top of the board again. That 42 driver just has it sorted out here at the dirt.
Yeah, ran almost a 27 flat he ran, so, and then, but you have a pretty sizable gap, about a tenth and a half towards Lytle, Grunberg, and everyone else, so I don't know what it is, but he's come into his own here on the dirt tracks, and I'm actually hoping we can see him later on, because we definitely have a few. We definitely have a few more dirt tracks down the schedule. I completely forgot what they were there.
Well, one of them I know is a Sonoma Rallycross course. That's coming up in about 3 weeks. So that's looming on the schedule, and I think that's kind of a question mark in everybody's minds, because it's kind of half road course, half dirt track, and half speedway. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out. But I'm looking at James Miller, and he's not a full-time entrant in this series, at least not in that 42 truck, but certainly making his effort worth it here this evening.
Yeah, and actually I just took a look after Sonoma. It'll be quite a while in October for the third last race of the season. We're gonna be at Knoxville, so some more dirt yet to come, and these guys have put on fantastic shows on the dirt tracks.
I'm sure everyone's gonna be nice and friendly there too, huh? Well, the practice is complete before we head to race number 2, and James Miller was quickest. Then it was Lytle, Grunberg, Johnny Thomas. That was basically your top 4, with the exception of swap out Grunberg for Levi Zielinski and bump Grunberg back to 5th. That was what your lineup was at the end of race 1. Qualifying underway now, 5 minutes remaining, and now it's time to put your best lap out there, and I'm certainly going to be watching that 42 of Miller. He's already out on track. We're right on board with him here for a lap. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do a sound search here as well. So for James Miller, that qualifying lap ended with an incident down in turn number 1, but he did go quickest on his first lap outfitting. We'll see if it stands. It was 3/10 faster than Chad Frankenfield's first lap, that's for sure. Corey Lindsay in the 00 with a pretty decent time of 27.2, but he gets knocked down the grid as Paul Roscoe's second quick in the 18 truck.
Yeah, well, Roscoe's second quick, but not by much. Still hasn't really made much of a dent towards James Miller. Johnny Thomas, he's coming across the green, the stripe to take his first lap, and we'll see where he ends up. He was really fast in race number 1. Let's see where he ends up in qualifying for race 2.
Not a great 3 and 4 though. Didn't really get the power down the right way. Actually, that was turns 1 and 2, so this will be his first lap. Yeah. So he didn't really have a great 1 and 2. Locks up that left front tire heading off into turn 3, leaning all the weight on that right side. Oh, he scrapes the wall in the exit of 4. That's going to invalidate this lap. And he spins around. He's going to stop and drive back and restart to hopefully get a better run at it here. But not a great qualifying effort by the 09 thus far. Miller still on top of the board. I don't think there's anyone left other than Thomas and Rich that potentially could knock him off the board. Maybe Grunberg as well, who has not laid down a time yet.
Yeah, Thomas, as I was looking at him, he just, I think, slammed on the brakes, realized might as well try to get off this lap and get a lot of momentum. And here he comes. He's entering turn 3 and 4. He's about to start his second and only final chance to get up towards the front.
We're going to talk to him here in a moment, but he's rolling out of turn 4 and gassing it up, trying to get that truck straight, and then tank slap it down to turn 1, keep that quarter panel off the wall, charges turn 1, drifts way up the racetrack. You see him understeering a lot there with the left front, trying to get that truck turned in. Very different strategy. He drove in and just tried to turn with the left front and right front wheels, but James Miller kind of drove in the corner sideways. Very different styles. Thomas pushing up dirt through 3 and 4. Not a great lap there either. At least it doesn't look like it initially. We'll see what it looks like across the line for the 09. A 27.7. No, that's not going to do you very well. And he'll have to try again.
No, that was his only attempt.
That was his only. Oh, that right. So that was not a great effort by the 09 of Johnny Thomas. Let's actually pull him in here and chat with him briefly before the race. Hey, it's Johnny Thomas. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kyle. It's me, Kyle. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
We're off to a great start, I see, both you and I. Only 14th best in qualifying here with Grunberg still to go. Certainly not the qualifying effort you wanted, but how are you going to get yourself up there for the end of race 2?
No, I kind of sucked it up there in qualifying. Be patient. I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't do, is they run out of patience early on. In this track, I mean, there's 55 laps. It's a really long dirt track, and the straightaways are super long. I think for you guys, a lot of the problems you're going to see is on the straightaways here. So we're going to try to do something to get up front. I think there's going to be some crashes, but it's going to be such a big track that I think we'll start spreading out here if we can get a run of about 5 laps or more.
It seemed like in race 1 at Lanier, the middle groove kind of got worn out quite a bit. It was actually taking rubber by the end of the race. Do you foresee this track wearing similarly, or do you think the lines are going to spread out enough that we'll see pretty even wear?
I don't think you'll see the top at all. I think the middle lane will be the preferred lane. I think, like on asphalt tracks, I think you can diamond this track pretty good. You can go in a little bit high and exit low. I think that's what you're going to see. But you got to have a good run off the corner because these straightaways are so long. So it's all about getting off the corner. Entry, not too much. You don't want to drive it in too hard. That's what's going to cause the wrecks. But I see the middle lane being the preferred lane.
And with 55 laps, you mentioned it kind of not being a super short race, but if you haven't raced anybody yet tonight that's at the rear of the field here, how do you race each other? Is there bumpers being thrown? Is that just part of the dirt track etiquette, or do you try to stay off people until absolutely necessary?
I try to stay off people. I probably regret it. I probably could have bumped James a little bit going into 1 with 2 laps to go there in the green, white, checkered, but he earned it. He led about all the race, so I'll take a second, and then here, I don't know. I'm going to try to work my way up to the top 5 and get 2 good points days. That's what I needed, being back there in the points, 11th or 12th.
All right, we're going to let you get to work. Johnny, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you later, hopefully in Victory Lane. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, well, that was a cluster of an interview on my part there, Finian. Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, I actually had to mute myself because I was just dying a laugh.
Oh, great. I'm glad that I'm super professional, and that it's not like we're doing this for real or anything. Between me needing to sneeze, and we're just having a fun night here at SimTV. Of course, the YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour. This is race 11 of the season. Tomorrow night, race 12 and 13 of the Cup Series season from Michigan Speedway. That'll be 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, we'll be a little bit more on our game tomorrow, but drivers got to be on their game here, Finney. In 55 laps, Johnny thinks the middle groove's the place to be. What do you think? How's this race going to look? Do you think we're going to see more spread out, or do you think we'll see more yellows in this one?
I think I would like to say that this is going to get more spread out, especially after going through what we did at Linear. I think just due to the nature of the track, just the way it's shaped, I think guys are going to get spread out more. I think we should have less cautions. Definitely we might have a few spread here and there, but it's kind of one of the things we have to see.
Well, our front row is looking pretty much exactly the same as it did in race number 1, but for James Miller, it was a much better result than for Paul Ross. So Ross looking to rebound in race 2. Corey Lindsay, a strong qualifying effort in 4th in that 00 Blurry Motorsports truck. Lytle and Zielinski 5th and 6th. Zielinski had a good result at the end of race 1. We'll hopefully talk to him at some point in the race this evening as the field rolls off. Your starting lineup scrolling along the bottom of your screen. Track conditions, though, a lot more comfortable. Bit breezier, cloudy skies, 81 degrees in the air and on the racetrack. Going to be a little bit more fun out there for the drivers. They won't have to baby the truck so much.
Yeah, and also notably, Tate Lytle, he's going to be starting back in 5th. He's going to have to move up a few positions, but definitely seen that 56 have the pace, at least at Linear. So this track being a slightly different beast, as we were saying earlier, we'll keep an eye on this 56 if he marches to the front. And I think also, as always, we're going to have to keep an eye on the 54, Matt Grunberg, who will be starting near the tail end of the field at 18th.
Lights are on at USA Speedway here in Lakeland, Florida. This racetrack is, ignore the fact that there's no track map, but it's 0.6 of a mile, so it's double what we just raced at Lanier. Very different track, very different style of racecraft, but for the 42 and the 18, very similar qualifying efforts on the front row for those two drivers. Time to go racing for the second time tonight. And it's a short one. Again, it's only about 24, 25 minutes worth of racing. If it goes green to the end, this race will end at approximately 11:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't think it's going to go green all the way to the end. We didn't see that in race 1. I don't think we'll see it in race 2. Going to look very different out there, though. These two tracks probably couldn't be more different. The only really thing that they share is that they have 4 corners and they're made of dirt. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing that you can really transfer over. But for the 42, seems like the skill transferred. Chad Frankenfield starting 3rd. And hopefully he can rebound after the mess of a race he had in race 1.
Yeah, I think same thing for Paul Ross will be on the outside as well. He's going to has to redeem himself after the start he had. I think he's looking to finish a lot better.
Pace truck's going to roll out of turn number 4. It's going to be on the front row, the 42, the last race winner, and Paul Ross. And they're going to take them to the green. Green flag flies, racing in Lakeland.
Yeah, you see Miller get a fantastic start. Frankenfield trying to jump the gun here and get to the inside of Paul Ross. Ross all the way to the wall as Lytle now is trying to take over 3rd place.
Yeah, that didn't really work out for Paul Ross. I think it was a bit of a mistake there. And Johnny Thomas said the outside lane wouldn't be the place to be. Well, Ross found that out really quickly. And the 56 to the bottom of the racetrack looking for 2nd on Frankenfield, and he might take that away. The inside, the place to be as the race just started.
Oh, we see a lot of guys struggling to get up to speed on the straightaway section. A lot of guys sliding around. Here's also the 48 again of Michael Skinner. We saw him do fairly well in race number 1 until he had his little flip. He's trying to rebound here to the inside of Hines, and Frankenfield he goes.
Richard Hines up into 3rd place as Frankenfield slips backwards down into turn 3. There's the 48 of Michael Skinner. The 18 up the middle. That's Frankenfield on the outside. And look at Cameron Rich on the inside lane. Contact between the 6 and the 5. Zielinski and Clothes bouncing off each other down the front straight.
Still bouncing on each other. Even Hackathorn and Johnny Thomas were going at it in the background as well.
Oh, the 18 and the 6 in the fence. Oh, wow, big hit for Dave Hunt in the 53. Pancake the fence, as did Derbyshire. Hackathorn's on the inside. He's been there the first couple laps, inches behind them. McKeevoy and Cody McCorkle get together. Derbyshire off the wall in turn 2. Harder and harder. Big impacts for that 66.
Yeah, but through all that chaos, we remain green, and it's Miller, Lytle, Hines your top 3 so far.
Oh, more issues for the 18. Big impact on the front straight wall. He's going backwards very quickly, but you mentioned James Miller. He has just taken off 1.7 seconds out of Lytle. Hines right behind him. Skinner, Rich, your top 5.
Yeah, race going on for 7th, or just about was, as Grunberg now takes that spot away from Paul Ross. Oops, sorry, that's actually 9th.
Yep, caution in the rear, and it's going to be Dave Hunt in the 53. And Derbyshire Closer, who's finding their way around. Not a whole lot of damage on that truck other than the right front. Ooh, some right rear damage to it as well. And got down to the inside of turn 3. Oh, Zielinski heading down the racetrack in 2 driver. You know, it was kind of funny about that is there was some joking, you know, during the between the races that the 53 should hit the 6. Well, other way around. The 6 car kind of turned down the racetrack right into the 53.
Actually, I think you should probably try to look at that from Dave Hunt's point of view entering the corner, and I think that reveals a much different picture.
Okay, here we go from the 53's view. Yeah, I don't know, Finney, what's your call on that?
Yeah, I think that was that's more on the 53. That's actually a race control viewed it as well.
Really?
I think
Okay.
he kind of just threw it in the corner. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that, but, you know, you always have to anticipate you're going to slide up into the track, and especially Zielinski. He didn't realize that Hunt was there until he just came to the inside.
Watch Rusty Capel at the end of this. He just squeezes between the wall and the 53 and somehow didn't drill Dave Hunt. That was a spectacular wreck avoidance maneuver by that 9 of Rusty Capel. Wow, just turned dead left and slid sideways between them. That was spectacular. Not an inch to spare. Holy cow. All right, well, I'll try it again. James Miller going to be the leader again. Tate Lytle in 2nd, but just has had nothing for that 42. Miller is just on his own planet this week.
Yeah, he's led officially every single lap of both races so far, and I'm kind of curious how far he'll go in this race. If anything, is to be expected. He'll lead every single lap, and that'll be impressive, leading every single lap in 2 races consecutively in one night.
That'd be tricky to do at an asphalt track. I think it's almost impossible to do at a dirt track, but Miller has done that so far tonight. Lights shut off on the pace truck. No retirement so far. All 19 trucks that started the event still running. Dave Hunt all the way at the rear and got some blood on his hands after that first incident. He's got to be careful for the rest of the night. It's easy to get yourself in trouble here at a dirt track.
Yeah, especially I'm curious if the 6 has any hard feelings about what occurred there, and even if Paul Ross is still not too, or sorry, not Paul Ross, Chet Frankenfield, he's completely forgiven the 53.
And they're closer together than they were at the beginning of the event. Frankenfield has dropped a couple spots back to 6th. Still a gap between him and foe Dave Hunt as the pace truck pulls off. Miller is in control of the race. Richard Hines sits in 3rd, and he's going to get a good restart as long as he doesn't spin the tires, which he does, and Cameron Rich all behind him trying to find a way around, but that whole inside lane gets checked up, and contact as the 2 gets spun in the middle of the racetrack. He saves it, but we're 5 wide for a moment on the restart.
Yeah, that was an insane start as Hines was struggling to get up to speed and ended up hitting Cameron Rich. That knocked him out of line.
Up front, though, Tate Lytle can't get to the 42. 2 and 3 wide mid-pack, and that's Hackathorn and Cameron Rich dooring each other out of turn 4, and Richard Hines dropping very quickly, not the restart he needed.
Now Grunberg went from 9th to 4th in 1 lap on that restart, and he's still continuing his charge up to the front.
Ooh, Paul Ross in the back. Ross spins around, contact with the 21. Caution out. Just has not been Ross's evening in that 18 truck. He was already out of shape entering the corner and slammed the fence with the right side. Kind of gets loose here, and right off the bumper of Corey Lindsay. Lindsay couldn't do anything. The key boy just a victim there.
Yeah, looking back at it, I think Ross got into Johnny Thomas on the straightaway, and it's hard to go. It's really hard to go down these straightaways straight. These guys are constantly sliding and moving around just a little bit. He ended up hitting Johnny Thomas, and I think that knocked him loose and out of control into turn 1. That's why he hit the wall so hard and got loose.
Yeah, looking back, and you hear that contact, a big hit to the wall, and couldn't quite save it. And it's a dreadful feeling slipping across the racetrack and knowing that someone's going to come and clobber you in the quarter panel. You can't really do much about it, other than not be in that situation in the first place. So 2 laps to the green flag. Miller continues his streak of leading every lap.
Yeah, and Gernberg has effectively joined everyone else back at the top. It didn't really take him too long, only 12 laps, and he's up into 4th after starting in 18th. And even Cameron Rich, too, started in 11th, and he's up to 5th.
Yeah, Cameron Rich is one I've been watching. He didn't really have as good of a result, was never really a factor in the first race, and he ended up kind of having a big crash that ended his night in the race number 1, but he hasn't been a factor in race number 2 yet, but he's getting himself put in position in that Eisen Designs Chevrolet Silverado. Sun setting here at Lakeland, Florida at USA International Speedway. It's been a wild night so far. And taking a look at the evening, we've had 2 cautions for 6 laps. Again, no lead changes. That number has been 0 all night with the 42 of James Miller at the top of the board.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a lot. We haven't seen anyone get into the 42 truck yet, which I'm kind of surprised with the amount of contact here. No one's really gone up and hit him. We saw Johnny Thomas try to give him a hit coming into the white flag in the last race. Let's see if Lytle's going to try to be more aggressive, or even Michael Skinner if he wants to try something here.
No one has passed James Miller yet tonight, and until it happens, it looks like it's pretty impossible to do. For restart, let's do a sound search here on the restart, SimTV style. Here we go. Caution out here again this evening, and another crash towards the rear of the field, and I believe it was Klooster who's in the 3 that got turned around. And he was just in the wall at the top of the racetrack, got into Dave Hunt, and spun around in contact with Derbyshire is what finished off the 3 and caused the yellow. Okay, so James Miller continues his best run of his career, and he's led every single lap so far. Won race 1. He's sitting in position to win race 2. Does anybody have anything for him? I don't think Lytle does, but Cameron Rich is starting to creep into the picture.
Yeah, Rich is starting to slowly move his way up towards the front. We'll see, as you said, we'll see if the 17 has anything. And he hasn't really completely stood out from everyone else. We know he's fast pretty much everywhere on pavement, but I think on dirt he's not as strong. Definitely he's still a fast guy, but I don't think not as strong as some of the other guys that are out here. And actually, one guy I'm kind of surprised we haven't really seen much of at the front of the field is Johnny Thomas. He's stuck back in 8th place.
Yeah, so again, Thomas is still crawling up from his 14th place starting spot, so he is a net gain so far in the first 17 laps, but not as quickly as we might have expected. Again, Kyle Hanshaw not here because of a suspension after last week, and he's probably looking at this going, oh man, there's one car out there I got to beat, and he's not going to be here to be able to beat him. So Hanshaw kicking himself after the incidents last week, not able to compete this week, and that's just a dagger in the side of any dirt racer whenever you can't get out on the racetrack and show these asphalt boys how it's done.
Yeah, and if you're also wondering at home why there's quite a few notable names from the series missing, it was Nathan Velez, Kyle Hanshaw, also Joshua Adams, I forgot to mention him, and even Luis Salmaso too. They were all given race suspension. Salmaso was the only one that had it reversed, but he did not show up for tonight's race. But yeah, a lot of penalties after Iowa, taking some people out of the action, but most of them, I think, except for Velez, will return tomorrow night.
Yes, there was a lot of drama last week that kind of ended up with some intentional accidents. That's kind of a, what do you call that there? Intentional accident, oxymoron. But the 95 and the 48 got together, so Velez has been out, but his replacement, Michael Skinner, running quite well here. Miller replacing Jadrosic, who's out because he could not make it with a new work schedule, but Miller has been doing every bit of good in that 42. Green flag back in the air, lap number 18.
And wow, Miller cuts through the dirt.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, the grass, so we're on dirt.
That was a big mistake down there for the 42. Is he going to be able to keep the lead after all that? It's the first time he's been challenged off into turn 3.
Yeah, Lionel, I think he knows this is his best shot at trying to get the lead away from the 42, but he goes all the way up into the highland. I don't think it's coming just yet.
No.
But here he comes out of the corner. He's got to run.
Nope, not quite. The 42 leads that lap as well after a messy restart for Miller. Lytle turns him. He gets into the quarter panel and somehow he saves it, but that was a dramatic moment. Meanwhile, behind, I hear a lot of contact. The old Sam Close getting run over. Zielinski around in turn 2.
He's around on the apron, and caution is out yet again tonight.
That was a mess. Go back and look down in turn 1. This was just a disaster. The 5 at close gets into the 0-9, and then the 5 just becomes a pinball here. 3OG teammates getting together, and then the 6 just gets turned around after all that. But let's go back and watch the restart with the 42. He dove for the inside and too soon. He actually clipped the grass heading down into the first corner.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but yeah, you can actually see, you have to go by the right camera angle, but his left front tire actually locked up as he was trying to get the car slow down.
Yeah, he swings off to the inside here and just drills that dirt and actually gets airborne there for a moment. So a mistake there by the 42. We haven't seen him make a mistake yet tonight. That was the first sign of weakness out of James Miller in that 42 truck.
Yeah, and Lionel had the chance. That was probably his best shot at getting the lead there, but went high, thinking that he could just ride the cushion on the outside, but I just don't think that line's come in yet, and wasn't able to get the spot away. So Miller will keep his record of leading every single lap between both races tonight, although he's very close that last time to losing it.
So Miller, for the first time tonight, shows a sign of weakness, but he manages to hang on to the lead and keep his perfect streak of leading laps going, working lap 22 of 55. It's our Looks like our 4th caution of the night, 12 laps of yellow. We've run more yellow than we have green in this one. We thought this one would spread out some more. That doesn't really seem to be the case. Got a lot of people throwing Hail Marys down in here just because it's so easy to just chuck it in and hope it sticks.
Yeah, the problem is too, not even just guys throwing it in there. I think guys having trouble slowing down for the corner. You can't just kind of ride the momentum like you could at Lanier. You have to get these things slow down before you even get to the corner itself, and I think that's where we've seen quite a few issues.
The track has not really worn out quite so much as Lanier had by this point. It's certainly not gathering rubber just yet, Finian. So the outside lane, you said it wasn't there. I don't even know if we're going to be able to see that come in because it's just not wearing out in the bottom or middle grooves yet.
Yeah, and as we came across the line last time through, actually, so as we come across the line this time through, we will come to halfway on this restart.
And that will hand more points to James Miller in that 42. Paul Ross off the racetrack, not already lapped down and losing more time in that 18 truck. Not the night he needed as they roll off turn 4. Miller again restarting. Hopefully won't make the same mistake this time.
And here they go
He does.
Inside again.
They all did it that time. Through the dirt. Here comes Lytle to the inside. And he might actually have a shot down into turn 3. Miller on the outside trying to defend his lead. It's the first time he's been put on the outside lane of a driver like Lytle. Caution out this time. Who was the leader at that point? As Klusterhuis goes around. It was Miller. And he got lucky there.
Yeah, you got really lucky indeed. He only had the lead by a nose, but let's take a look back at what happened with Klusterhuis.
The night of Capel and Klusterhuis getting together. I think Klusterhuis just drifted up off the top of the racetrack, or off the bottom of the racetrack, gets into the 9, spins around. Harmless spin there, but down to the inside, and that might have been all he's allowed for the evening.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and he actually just left the session. I think he knows what's coming to him. Already had one incident before this potentially is number 2, and indeed is number 2, and that will be the end of Klusterhuis' night officially for this race.
That's a disqualification and the end of the 3's night. 2 incidents, and he walked into this not really confident about the dirt racing, and I think there's a reason why. Just some drivers get it, some drivers don't. I certainly don't understand dirt racing. I've never been good at this, and there's a lot of other drivers that share that sentiment and some that do not. I'm sure James Miller is a big fan right now.
Indeed. And also, correction to what I said earlier, apparently I cannot count. Halfway lap, and I checked this on the email as well. Halfway lap
I can't
is lap
either.
28.
Okay, well, we're both dumb. I didn't correct you.
Yeah, so halfway lap will be completing lap 28.
Okay, well, Miller hangs on to the restart, or hangs on to the lead by the skin of his teeth. What does he have to do different? I mean, he's been nailing these restarts, but I don't understand the clipping the grass down in turn 1. I don't know what that's getting him. It's both times he's done it, it's put him at risk of getting past.
I think he's trying to protect anyone making a bonsai move, and but when I say anyone, I think mainly Lytle. I think he's trying to just cover his ground there, because you are most vulnerable to the inside as a leader on the restarts. I think that's what he's trying to protect himself from.
All right, it'll be halfway on the restart. Miller leads this race. Lytle to his outside, and will Miller make the same mistake he's made twice? Clip that inside grass down into turn 1. Will that put him at risk of losing his perfect streak of laps led this evening? Frankenfield back inside the top 10. Hines in 6th, Grunberg 5th, Rich 4th, but Cameron Rich has not been able to get much farther than that. But Lytle and Miller have been up front all night long and trying to continue that streak as we close in on halfway of round number 11 of the 2019 YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour. Pace trucks off. And green flag going to be back in the air. Miller again launches, but not very well. That 56 get a pretty good launch.
Yeah, had some wheel spin for the 42, and here comes Lytle trying to round the outside. Miller clipping the grass yet again. Lytle throwing it all out there.
And the later we get in this race, the more that outside groove will be there. It's 4 wide behind him for a minute, but I think Miller's got this for now. He does, and Lytle drives in deep. Not going to be deep enough, though. The 48 gets into the back of the 56. Lytle just gets on the back of the 42, but no pass there for position as Miller hangs on a lead. Crash out of turn 4. It's the 15 and the 2 with the double zero.
Oh, big pile.
The 2 over on his roof for a moment.
I see a truck smoking as well. It's Austin Derbyshire. It's going to be night over for him.
Yeah, Richard Hines gets turned up over on his lid. And this all started down in turn number 3, and it was the 15 who launched up the inside. Kind of drifts up, and then the 2, he gets kind of launched together with the 2. The 2 turns him into the wall, and then From there it was on.
Yeah, really unfortunate that I just got hooked for Frankenfield. And for Frankenfield, too, I think these are definitely two races he's going to want to forget. Just have not gone his way at all.
Yeah, that damage for the 15 might be pretty severe, but the 0-0 got a big piece of that as well, as Dave Hunt. He was involved as well on the front straight and spun down to the inside, clobbered the concrete pretty well at the left front of his truck. Looks like he's got that still rolling. Derbyshire's night will be over. Frankenfield's night is going to be severely shortened, if not over. And Corey Lindsay's still running, but some big damage on the front and rear of that truck.
And it's unfortunate for Lindsay as well. You can actually find where he is. There he is. So after starting in 4th, he's all the way back in 16th. Still on the lead lap.
All right, well, 31 of 55 laps complete. We have about 11 minutes of racing remaining. Skinner sits 3rd. Gruenberg and Rich have swapped places for 4th. Johnny Thomas inside the top 10, sitting as 6th right now. He's slowly creeping up the grid, and is going to be in contention for a top 5 spot on the restart.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to want it again. I would have thought that he would have been up there earlier in the night, but I think with the amount of customs we've had of late, there hasn't been a whole lot of chance for movement throughout the grid.
Michael Skinner just dropped off the timing and scoring, and potentially an issue with that 48, and he's going to pop back in just in time, though. You have to worry about that being stable. It might not be. That 48 truck running well tonight, having internet issues for the restart here at lap 33.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's stabilizing here. We'll see if race control says anything, because they have not been shy of telling people to pull off the track until they get it fixed. But for now, actually, it's coming through 3. Looks like it's stabilized for the moment.
All right, green flag going to be in hand of the starter. It's going to be just over 20 to go as Miller tries to get another good restart. He launches a bit better that time for the 42.
Yeah, but he's going to be clear of Lytle. Clips the grass yet again. Here comes Lytle. To the outside he goes, and even Gruenberg in behind trying to make something happen.
There it is. Caution. I saw it coming in the background. I called it a bit too early, but I heard the incidents happening. And Rusty Capel involved in this one. And Richard Hines potentially in the 2 truck. I'm curious about... the 9 gets into the back of the 6, spins out right in front of Hines, and Hines actually wasn't involved at all. And the 15 of Frankenfield had to take evasive action there.
Yeah, Hines actually did a fantastic job slowing down. A very hard thing to do on the dirt. Did a great job avoiding that incident.
Watch the left front tire on this 2 truck as we watch from the 15 truck of Frankenfield. The 2 locks up his tires and just slips out to the right just in time to miss it. Excellent work by the 2 of Richard Hines as Frankenfield had nowhere to go. He clobbers the 9. And we head back live and currently sitting on caution number 7 of the night. 22 of our 35 laps under yellow for this one, Finian. That's a ratio going the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it actually looked a lot more promising at the start. A pretty decent run at the beginning, and then it's been myriad of cautions ever since. Hopefully these guys can get it cleaned up a little bit.
They're running out of laps. And for guys like Johnny Thomas, they need the laps. They'd rather this race run green to the end, but they don't have that opportunity right now. And for Miller, this is easy, leading laps under yellow.
Yeah, I'm sure he's actually kind of happy. I think he's probably one of the only guys happy that it's just been constantly going under yellow. Although I will say he's been more under threat under the on the restarts from losing that lead with the what line he's been taking and Lytle chucking it in there. One of these times I feel Lytle might go a little bit too much, or Miller might make a mistake.
Yeah, I'm almost convinced that the 42 is really torn between loving the yellows and hating them because, well, they let him lead the race and tick off the laps without any attack. He also doesn't get the opportunity to drive away, which is what he does once we're green. On the restarts, he's been vulnerable and been making mistakes. He has not been making mistakes on green flag runs. Okay, Cameron Rich sits 5th. He's on the inside. Does that change anything? What's lane choice mean for the restarts? Does it mean anything at all at a dirt track?
I mean, honestly, this track got more run out. I would say it would kind of matter a bit. I would say right now the best place to be on the restarts is probably that inside line. Definitely on the outside might come in later in this race, but I think for now, if you're on the inside line, you're definitely in the right lane for the restart.
How do you balance, as the leader, how do you balance the fear of being trapped on the bottom with a driver on your outside versus having all the room in the world but being run into? How do you balance that fear, and does that influence your decision, or do you influence your decision solely based on how well your truck runs on which lane?
I think it really depends on how the track is, and also how well your truck is in each lane. You know, because again, it always depends on how it is on the run, with the dirt tracks being the most susceptible to track evolution and changing drastically over the course of a race.
All right, 18 laps to go at the restart. Miller leads, Lytle in second. He's been putting the pressure on the 42. Miller's got to respond. Here's a look from up above as they take the green. And a good restart for all three of those front trio there.
Yeah, the 48 giving a little bit of a shove to Miller as they head up into turn one yet again. Oh, contact!
Oh.
The 48 sends Lytle all the way to the outside. Gruenberg trying to take advantage now.
Yeah, Lytle way up the racetrack. He's going to lose 2, maybe 3 spots here. Contact with Gruenberg, the 56, weaving and sliding on the back straight, trying to get that truck back under control. Johnny Thomas trying to get himself inside the top 5 now.
Yeah, that knocked Gruenberg out of the line. Thomas trying to take advantage of that scenario as these guys come back across the line.
17 to go, and laps are going to tick off very quickly under green. Will we stay green for a little while? Miller out in front by half a second. Behind, I hear some contact. More cars, trucks around, and it's, again, the 5 of Sam Close. The 44, Hackathorn, looked like he was involved a little bit. Another caution on the evening, and this one was, oh yes, another incident with Close in the 5. Here's a look. The 44 Hackathorn was sideways and chased the 5 all the way to the inside wall. Zielinski swerved to miss it. I was surprised the yellow came out for that, but it did for sure. Running out of laps for the 42, looking more and more like he might have an opportunity to sweep the dirt events here at rounds 10 and 11. But how about Cameron Rich Finian lurking in third?
Yeah, and actually, he gained quite a few places there, considering he's been stuck in 5th for quite a few of these last restarts. And even Michael Skinner, too, moved himself in a 2nd. Lytle back in 4th, and Thomas now in 5th. Remember, all the way back in 6th place.
15 laps to go, and here's a look at your stats. And now it's becoming like a competition at this point. We've run 41 laps, and 26 of them have been under caution. We've had no lead changes, and that stands true not only in this race, but the last one as well. Miller has just been absolutely crushing it around here. Frankenfield getting a lap back. And Richard Hines, the only truck still left out on the racetrack that is not on the lead lap, and that will put him 6 laps down in that too.
So with the little bit of a shuffle that we saw on the restart here that changed the order for this upcoming restart, I'm kind of curious if Michael Skinner will do things differently than Lytle has been doing. Lytle's been kind of doing the same thing for all these last few restarts. See, Michael tries to change things up, and even if Cameron Rich can do anything now being directly behind Miller.
We'll see how they do. 1 to green, lights are off on the pace truck again. A lot of dirt covering the intakes of these trucks. Cameron Rich in an offensive position here on the inside, right behind the leader. I think he's more the truck that Miller has to worry about. Not so much the 48 to his outside lane, and I haven't really quite seen the pace out of the 48 and the aggression to suggest that he might be able to rip the lead away from the 42. I do think that Rich will be able to do so, and Lytle still sits there in row 2 as well. So keep an eye on those, the Silverado on the inside and the Tundra on the outside lane in row number 2. 13 laps is all it's going to be when we come back green. And it's been James Miller out front all night. He's been getting a lot of practice at these restarts. He's going to get another one right here.
And there he goes. Green flag back in the air yet again. Cameron Rich getting a great start compared to the 48 of Michael Skinner as they go off into turn. Here comes Lytle throwing it up the middle, 3 wide.
Johnny Thomas threw a Hail Mary there on the inside lane. Made it kind of stick, but didn't manage to carry it out of the corner. So Rich up to 2nd place, and this is where, if I'm James Miller, I'm getting a little bit nervous.
Ooh, Lytle, aggressive with Michael Skinner. They're turning
Whoa.
into each other now.
Ooh.
They're going aggressive, going
Nope.
into the wall, going to each other,
Nope.
and around goes the 48.
Now there they go. They're tangling, and the 56 right in front of the field, and he's going to get clobbered by the 53. Caution out, and done is Tate Lytle. Wow, that was dramatic. Collision out of turn 4, and that one was about half a lap in the making. The 56 body slammed the 48, and Skinner just kept turning left, left, left. And they kept turning left, and then spun, hooking the 56 right back in front of the field, and Lytle was just a sitting duck for Dave Hunt to come along and clobber him. Interesting to note that the driver, the usual driver of that 48, is not here. So I wonder if Michael Skinner just doesn't care about being penalized, because you know, it seems like those two are willing to tangle and not too worried about the repercussions of that.
Yeah, Lytle more or less running this series more for fun. I think he's more focused on the Cup side of things. And yeah, as you said, 48 and Michael Skinner, obviously not a full-time entry, only filling in for Velez.
Yeah, so not a lot on the line for either of those two drivers. But tangling here in the late stages, and Lytle's truck pretty much destroyed. And black-gray smoke streaming from the exhaust pipes of that 56 truck. And he'll pull it down pit lane. Cameron Rich going to be on the outside lane fitting. Is this a more dangerous spot for him to be than the inside behind Miller?
I don't know. It kind of depends on what Cameron Rich can do in that outside lane. Again, we haven't really run enough laps under green for this track to evolve quite a bit, so I think Rich might be at a disadvantage. It kind of depends. Again, if he can get a good enough restart to be alongside Miller, he might have a shot at turn 1.
Looking from high above the speedway here in Lakeland, Florida. This is one of those tracks that has been preserved by the iRacing service. No longer exists. Is now, I believe, a mall or an apartment complex or something of the sort on this property, but was a great racetrack. Was dirt when it opened back a couple decades ago. It was transitioned to asphalt and then torn down right after the scan from iRacing back in 2007, 2008, I believe. And now in iRacing, we keep it alive and keep it racing as Miller, Rich, and Johnny Thomas sits third. How about that 09? A lot of dirt on the front of that truck, but he's in a position to win.
And even Cody McCorkle, too. I haven't mentioned him for most of the night. He's up in 4th place after starting in 12th. So he has a shot now of doing something.
Hasn't been a whole lot to mention about Cody McCorkle. Didn't really have a standout race 1. Haven't really heard a lot about him in race 2 yet either, but he's in position in these last 8 laps coming to the restart. Here we go.
And then they go up to speed. Tough for Cameron Rich to get the throttle down. Green flag back in the air. Ooh, Miller, he actually hits the wall going to turn 1.
He swung out real wide trying to get that truck turned in. The 12 McCorkle's going to make contact with Johnny Thomas. That's for third. Thomas through. And 3 wide out of turn 2. Zielinski on the outside. Oh, the 44 is going to get turned in front of the field again. Swinging, sliding all over the racetrack.
He's going to save it. We're going to remain green for now. And I say for now, as as Gruenberg and Thomas are dooring each other off at turn 4.
7 laps to go this time through, and that 54 truck is trying to get himself back up there. He's leading the points by a huge amount. That's not what he's concerned with. He just wants the trophies. And on the inside of that 09 truck for third, there's Rusty Capel. I think he's pulled. Oh, he spun around in turn 4, and the leader is going to be coming through here shortly. But no caution. We stay green.
Yeah, it was turn 2.
Oh, turn 2. Excuse me.
So Miller is starting to expand his lead. This is what we were afraid of, and I think what Cameron Rich is afraid of. And yeah, I don't think Cameron Rich has much room. He's trying to get up to speed, but now is about to be under threat from Matt Gruenberg behind him.
Yeah, Rich is not anywhere close to the lap times that 42 is running. Last time through, he was 3/10 off. The quickest truck on the racetrack was James Miller. The next closest truck was Gruenberg, but still 2/10 off. It's going to be 5 laps to go for the 42 to sweep the night.
Yeah, what a sweep would be, not just race wins wise, but so far has led every single lap, and it looks like that'll continue as the battle for second now heating up. Gruenberg to the inside of Rich.
Matt Gruenberg only has 4 laps to get up to that 42 truck. He might not have time, but he's certainly going to give it a try to the inside of Cameron Rich. Here he comes on the bottom.
And making it look easy, that truck completely under control as he makes that pass.
And I don't think he's going to have enough time, Finian. He was 2/10 slower that lap as well. He needs to be about a 3 to 4/10 of a second quicker each lap to catch that 42. I don't think he's going to be able to get there. Corey Lindsay slipping up the racetrack. That's going to be Sam Close for 10th. Zielinski on the outside lane. They almost tangle there out of turn 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, for Grimber to catch Miller, he's going to need a caution. This needs to be a green-white checkered, but it's kind of looking unlikely. A lot of guys spread out now.
We had a 7-lap run to start the night. We might have a 7-lap run to end it. Miller out in front. Some may say getting a broom to sweep the weekend at a dirt track might be kind of pointless, but for Miller, it's very gratifying. Filling in for this truck, walked in with no expectations, and might walk out with 2 trophies if he can make it another 2 miles here.
He's got 2 more laps to go for him. It's been an absolute feat of domination. Gruenberg can't really do much to him. Gruenberg running slightly faster than Miller, but that means pretty much nothing here in these closing laps.
Miller all out in front, not getting chased down by Gruenberg. It's not going to be enough time. The white flag waves. He's going to be free and able to complete the race. No green-white checker this time for the 42. Miller's got the lead. He's been dominant all night long, filling in for Jadrosich, who couldn't make it this evening. James Miller went out and won at Lanier in dominating fashion. We didn't get a whole lot of green flag laps to play with, but for James Miller, restart after restart after restart, 9 times he managed to hang on to the lead. Miller out of turn 4. He's going to pick up his 2nd win of the night, sweep the doubleheader at USA and Lanier, and he's going to go to victory lane the 2nd time this season.
Yeah, great races for James Miller. Absolute domination to the rest of the field. No one could really hold a candle to him. Gruenberg will come home in 2nd. Cameron Rich will definitely redeem himself after race 1 in 3rd. Johnny Thomas in 4th, and how about Cody McCorkle will finish, round out our top 5.
Really impressive night for the 42. And I don't know if you could have run a more perfect race. I mean, he did make mistakes. There were mistakes in this race tonight, but they weren't anything he couldn't come back from. So a phenomenal race for Miller in that one sim racing truck. And how strong that team is. Gruenberg comes home 2nd place. And doing donuts on the dirt here at USA.
Yeah, I mean, he made some mistakes, but I mean, when you look back at this race on paper, pretty much perfection for the 42.
Gruenberg finishes 2nd. Cameron Rich rebounds from a race 1 crash for 3rd. Michael Skinner, after all the drama he went through, back up in 6th. Cody McCorkle, 5th place in his number 12. For Chad Frankenfield, a disappointing night, 13th and 14th for him and foe from race 1, Dave Hunt. Rusty Capel, 15th. Tate Lytle, 16th place after the crash with he and the 48 of Michael Skinner. Levi Zielinski finished inside the top 10, as did Corey Lindsay. Matt Hackathorn scored a 7th as well. So Hackathorn turned things around a little bit tonight, but that's your finishing order. We're going to be back in just a moment with Miller and a few others to talk to. Stay with us. Welcome back live to SimTV, here now with 5th place finisher Cody McCorkle. Cody, tonight was kind of wild out there. Lots of yellows, lots of crashes, lots of drivers angry with each other, but a P5 in race 2. Talk to us about your night and what it took to get yourself a top 5 after a wild race with 9 yellows in 55 laps.
Oh man, it was an eventful night. Just trying to avoid all the trouble, get up through. I thought there at the end, I think it was the 44 got in the back of us. I thought we were going around and done.
It seemed like tonight drivers struggled to get this race green at USA more so than Lanier. Were you surprised, and did you think the race would spread out more? Because I think we all thought that would be the case in the booth here.
Oh yeah, I thought we were gonna have a longer green flag run than that, but it's about adapting.
Adapting for sure. How about a top 5 result though at one of the trickier racetracks? Do you look at this as one of your good nights, or is there still room to improve for you and that number 12 team?
Surely I want to improve, but this is a good step in the right direction for us. We've been struggling this year.
All right, well, a P5 result for Cody McCorkle. Cody, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk next to third place finisher Cameron Rich, driving the number 17 truck tonight. Cameron, race 1 didn't go the way you wanted. Race 2 had an opportunity for the lead, but kind of messy out there. Talk to us about your night and your P3 result.
Yeah, I mean, both races were pretty much like, let's see what happens, because I'm not very good at dirt, so I didn't really practice or do anything, so I just kind of threw caution to the wind, and I'm like, whatever happens, happens, and first one, yeah, nothing. It didn't really go my way. Second one was pretty fun, but it was a little crashy smashy there most of the night. So it was pretty much about restarts. I definitely had nothing for James or even Matt. They were a lot quicker, but I kind of was able to survive and get a third out of it. So not too bad.
How did the racetrack change over the course of race 2? Because we saw the track really wear out at Lanier. Did it seem to do that as much at USA, or did the cautions kind of slow down that progress there?
I definitely think the caution slowed it down a little bit, and I think just the nature of the track, definitely Lanier did wear out a lot during the course of the race. That's actually why I lost it the first time, because the bottom got so slick that it just was impossible to drive down there. Really, I don't think the top really ever came in as much at USA. You saw really James and Matt; they're kind of around the bottom, at least after the restart. So not too much progression there, but I don't know why. It could be just the track or just the cautions or whatever, but it just, that's how it went.
All right, well, third place result for Cameron Rich. Not a bad end of the night at Lakeland here in Florida. Thanks, Cameron.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to move on now to James Miller. 2 for 2 tonight, James. I don't know if you were expecting this, but you came in and won at Lanier and you won at USA. You made it look easy, but a bit more challenging. Talk to us about those restarts and holding off Tate Lytle a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, it was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. But I was thinking if I wanted to try if the outside was going to be better, but I had been holding off my position on the inside, so I didn't want to risk it. But with those restarts, it was I was quite concerned that I was gonna to lose it there. I definitely had a better long run truck compared to everyone else, but yeah, I was not expecting that either of having speed this race. Neither was last race, but it's a surprise to me because I don't even remember my last dirt race I've done on the sim. So,
were you surprised at all walking into USA that it seemed like actually I guess a better question would be this: were you thrilled about the cautions, kind of letting you lead a bunch of laps easily, or were you not thrilled about them because you had a bunch of people breathing down your neck for the restarts?
At Lanier, I was happy about the cautions. Felt like I didn't have the long run speed, but here it was definitely wish it went green because it felt like after 2 laps I'd already it'd feel like I get a gap of like a second and a half behind second or ahead of second, and the caution would come out, and then we all stack up, and turn 1 was really hard to set up. I don't think I ever got it right on the restarts. It was tried to arc it, and that just got the truck all upset and loose and really threw it into the turns, and I just couldn't find my line that I could run on a full lap around at speed. So it was definitely trickier with all the cautions.
Well, James, congratulations. I mean, that was the best performances we've seen on dirt in a long time. 2 wins in 2 races. Excellent job, and led every single lap on top of that. Impressive feat, and thanks for putting on a good show.
Thank you, guys. Just thanks to the One Sim guys for to run those races.
All right, that was winner James Miller, driving the number 42. Thanks, James. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, Finian, thoughts after this race here? I know this one was a little bit messier, didn't get a whole lot of green flag racing, but James Miller, what a phenomenal driver. 2 wins, 2 tries, and led every single lap.
Yeah, just an absolute dominant performance. I hope we see him back in another race to see him give some of these guys a run for their money, put on a really good performance, and yeah.
All right, well done there. Not done with 3-wide action for the week yet. Tomorrow night we race doubleheader at Michigan, 9:40 p.m. That's going to be 70 lap races, 2 of them, in fact. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 9:40 p.m. for that. And I think we're done until next Sunday, I believe, if I'm correct. No ORL this week. They have a week off. I don't think we have anything in the weekday either, as Grid Life is done for a little while. So I guess we'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see you next Sunday for the next YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour race. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching.